It's that time of year when your schedule's about to get really busy. Kids are heading back to school. We all need to get back on a routine of healthy meals and things. We're joined by dietitian Katie Maxey, a dietitian, to talk about what all of us need to be thinking of when it comes to getting back on a routine and healthy eating. She's also taking your questions about diet and nutrition. You can text us those questions 336-379-5775. All right, Katie, you know what's about to happen, right? All the summer crazy's about to stop. The routine's about to settle in. So what can parents and kids do to prepare for the back to school, back to work, all that jazz?
I mean, you really just have to do it. You have to get back from thinking of all the craziness of summer, the fun times you've had, and sit down and think, okay, we got to get back into this routine. Let's begin scheduling our meals. So thinking about breakfast and lunch and dinner before school ever starts to kind of get your plan going and write it all down and be ready with the food on hand to make your plan work.
Okay, so a lot of parents, they just pack the lunch for the kid themselves, right? And sometimes they think about packing their own lunch, sometimes they don't. You say that we should have the kid with us and we should pack a lunch, and certain things need to be included. How do we go down the line and figure out what needs to be included?
Well, I would even include the kid from the start. While you're just planning before you ever purchase the food, you can involve the whole family in that and coming up with different food groups. Okay, think carbohydrates, protein, fruit, and vegetables, having one from each category. And so getting the entire family to think, okay, what kind of carbohydrates do we want in the lunchbox? And what protein sources, fruit, and vegetables? And then when it's actually time to pack the lunch, whether it's the night before or the morning of, the kid knows exactly the options. Grab a carb, grab a fruit, grab a veggie and a protein, and there you've got your balanced lunch. But adults can do that too. That's what we all need. And so thinking of your lunchbox, it'll help you save money if you pack your lunch, and thinking in those food groups, just like we would do for our children.
All right, so often we think that there's a certain food group that's bad, like carbohydrates, they're bad, but you're like, nope, we need to have each one of those things in our lunchbox.
Yes. Yes, you need it all. There's nutrition in every type of nutrient or macronutrient. So our proteins, it's fantastic for us. It helps us sustain and keep our energy up, but the carbohydrates help with the quick energy and kind of breaks down and gives us energy really quickly. And so you need it all. There is no quote unquote bad way to do it, but just think of the food groups, making sure you have one of each. Even if your kid is a picky eater, you can still offer that vegetable or that fruit or whatever it is, put it in the lunchbox and just see if they try it. It's your job as a parent to offer it, and it's up to them whether they're going to eat it or not.
Okay, all right, let's give us some examples of like good lunches for kids and adults when we're talking about more than just out of the regular like square lunchbox.
Yes. I mean, you always think of a sandwich when you think of packing your lunch, right? So you could absolutely do a sandwich. Let's think about this. There's bread, that's your carb, your deli meat or chicken or whatever you're putting as protein. Then you're adding fruit and vegetables ideally. But think of a sandwich like differently. You could do bagels, you can do a pancake even with something in it. You could do tortillas, you could do any sort of quote unquote bread as your sandwich to make it a little bit different, especially if you have a picky eater. It's kind of similar, but it's different. And so you can do that. You can do little bento boxes or homemade Lunchables with your meat and your cheese and salami or whatever it is you would normally do. Add in some fruit and carbohydrates. What we find is that we add a lot of carbohydrates to the lunchbox usually. You're adding in chips, you're adding in a little Debbie dessert. So there's typically a lot of carbs. So making sure we're adding in some vegetables and fruit and protein into the lunchbox.
Yeah, I like that whole idea is if you don't have to not take those things that you like, you just need to add something else that's good for you.
Yes. Yes. And leftovers is great for a lunchbox. Grab a thermos, put some leftover spaghetti, lasagna, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a sandwich. It can be out of the box thinking.
Okay. All right. So many of us are on the go. We don't have a lot of time to sit down and eat. We're eating it in the car. My question is, can you drink your meals, like a smoothie, for example?
That's a great question and one we get a lot. And of course, you can drink and do a smoothie. Again, remember your food group. So if you are doing it as a true meal replacement, do you have 4 food groups present in that smoothie? If not, add something to the side to kind of get that nourishment and that balance in there. The challenge with smoothies is that we are drinking versus actually chewing and eating. So I do know a lot of people that will choose a smoothie as their meal, but yet they're still kind of mentally hungry because it didn't fill them up. There was no actual eating involved. So kind of keeping that in mind and paying attention if you do use a smoothie or drinking kind of your meal, Is it actually filling you up, or are you going to snack later because you didn't actually get to chew and mentally eat your meal?
Right. So if you're using it as weight loss or whatever kind of thing,
Yeah.
that's what you need to be careful of, that you're going to feel hungry.
Correct. Yeah. So when you do use it, make sure it's going to fill you up and you've got all of those 4 food groups present somehow in that smoothie or to the side with the smoothie.
Put that spinach in that smoothie.
Absolutely. Kale, you can do all sorts of stuff.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to be taking your questions when we come back. 336-379-5775.